Hello, everyone. Good morning and good evening to you, wherever you may be dialing in from. With the pandemic, I am grateful that you have been safe and able to join us. Thank you again. My name is Darlene Chu Bryant. I am the Executive Director of GlobalSF. We are delighted to again partner with Select USA to host the San Francisco spinoff and spotlight an industry and sector for the San Francisco. Today, we will be talking about the future of food, innovation, and opportunities in the San Francisco Bay Area. Let's start with housekeeping. We will be keeping today's program as efficient as possible. We have an amazing speakers joining us today from the U.S. Commercial Service, State of California, City of San Francisco, and our industry experts who will be speaking on a panel. As a participant, you will be able to ask questions. Please post your questions at the bottom of the screen. On the far right, there are 3 dots. Click onto it and you will see Q&A. Please enter your question there and we will answer them at the end of the panel discussion. Please do not enter your questions in the chat room. Today's event will be recorded and accessible via the GlobalSF and Select USA websites. One-on-one matchmaking is available on February the 25th. Please sign up so that we can meet you. Otherwise, please visit us at globalsf.biz and we can connect. First of all, a brief intro regarding GlobalSF. We are a not-for-profit organization dedicated to paving the way for international companies to locate, invest, and grow in the San Francisco Bay Area while helping locally based companies expand into global markets. Through a public-private partnership with the City and County of San Francisco's Office of Economic Workforce Development, OEWD, GlobalSF oversees China SF, Latin SF, and SF Asia. We are also a small business development center affiliate partner, so we continue to provide consulting services to companies, SMEs, at no charge. Food and beverage concepts have been an interesting sector, especially for me personally, since 2012. And in the last 2 years or so, with Beyond Meat and Impossible Burger hitting the shelves in restaurants worldwide, we have seen more companies like Clarissa and others encouraging others to follow suit. And they all started here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And let's start the program. Our first speaker of the day is Mr. Bill Burrell. He is the director of Select USA.
Thank you, Darlene, and thank you for the opportunity today to welcome everybody to the Select USA virtual tour of San Francisco and featuring opportunities in the food and beverage sector, including food innovation and food technology. The virtual tour of San Francisco that we're about to undertake is part of the Select USA virtual tour series, and this one is organized in collaboration with GlobalSF. My name is Bill Burwell. I'm the Deputy Executive Director of Select USA. And I'm looking forward to the great presentations by all the partners and speakers. Select USA is a government-wide initiative dedicated to facilitating and promoting high-impact business investment in the United States. Since inception, Select USA has facilitated over $81 billion in client-verified deals, supporting over 100,000 U.S. jobs. In 2020 alone, Select USA helped facilitate 115 client-verified deals valued at $17.7 billion and supporting over 14,000 jobs. And FDI makes a difference in local communities. In California, for example, according to the latest data, over 845,000 U.S. jobs were directly supported by majority-owned firms. Hopefully, you're all familiar with the Select USA team and what we can do to support your business investors to succeed in the United States. For those who may be less familiar, the simple answer is we're here to support you in finding your next investment location. Select USA works one-on-one with companies, and our team has a proven track record of successfully connecting international companies with partners and resources to help them achieve their investment goals in the United States. Our services include information and counseling, FDI facilitation events, and assistance in navigating the federal regulatory system. Select USA works closely with economic development organizations. Through virtual tours like the one today, we're able to offer business investors like yourselves an overview of existing opportunities in different sectors and across various locations in the United States. Until we're able to gather in person, the Select USA team will continue to partner with economic development organizations and offer virtual tours of selected locations across the U.S. You can see some of these upcoming events and locations listed on our website at selectusa.gov. I would like to strongly encourage international companies joining the virtual tour today to take full advantage of the opportunity to register and participate in the 2021 Select USA Investment Summit. While virtual for the first time, the Investment Summit will maintain the core principles of our annual event and will incorporate similar themes and fundamental concepts that you perhaps have enjoyed to date. The summit will feature over 100 virtual sessions, a virtual exhibit hall with EDOs and service providers, and a robust networking platform where participants can make the connections you need to push your investment deals forward. To learn more about the Investment Summit, you can visit the website selectusasummit.us, or you can email us at selectusaevents@trade.gov. If you would like to RSVP for upcoming investment programs, please visit our website at selectusa.gov, and you can subscribe to a mailing list to receive updates. The added benefit, which Darlene mentioned earlier, is that we would like to invite you to register to schedule one-on-one meetings with members of GlobalSF on our event page. You can visit the website selectusa.gov, go to our upcoming events page to reserve your space, and the meetings will take place all day on February 25th, Thursday, February 25th. Select USA and our colleagues located in the commercial service in San Francisco and globally are here to work with you, and I would like to thank GlobalSF and all the speakers today for putting on this great event. Thank you so much for the opportunity to address the audience today, Darlene, and have a great program.
And thank you so much, Bill. We look forward to seeing you in June. It's going to be exciting.
Yes. I look forward to welcoming you all at the summit. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bill. Next, we have Kaina Pereira, Senior Advisor, Business Development and International Trade at the California Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, GoBiz. Kaina.
Thank you so much, Darlene, and it's a pleasure to be here. I had a little bit of technical difficulties earlier this morning, so I hope you guys can all hear me very well. But as she said, I am the Senior Advisor for Business Development and International Trade at the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, or GoBiz. We are California's single point of contact for job growth, economic development, and business success efforts. But that being said, we partner with organizations such as GlobalSF to encourage foreign direct investment and also to encourage exports. So we partner with them substantially, and I'm very pleased to be a part of this program and really pleased to connect with all the companies that are looking to make California their future home. You know, California is a leader at nearly 40 million strong. We have a marketplace that turns innovation into commercialization. And in fact, ZEV's a very new proponent or new opportunity within the state of California is now our #2 export, which shows the dramatic uptake and early adoption of a lot of our consumers. The state is also home to more startups, engineers, scientists, and Nobel laureates than anywhere else in the nation. Our entrepreneurs receive more than $67 billion in VC funding, which is obvious as the concentration in the Silicon Valley, in particular in San Francisco, is one of those measures of success that we're very pleased to have. Our success in cutting-edge sectors like food tech is also no accident, and some of the companies that were mentioned at the top in Darlene's notes are some that we've worked with in the past to try and make sure that they have the ability to succeed in this space. You know, some of the things that we do are site selection and incentive navigation and also permit and regulatory assistance. So when you're looking at a new market, this is the right place to go. We're going to be with you the whole way and make sure that the opportunities that are presented to you and the market availability and market understanding is also available to you as you explore alternatives for where your next placements might be or expansion opportunities are available. In addition to that, we leverage our immense university network, home to some of the most qualified and diverse workforce in the nation. Being a state of immigrants with 27% immigrant population, there's obviously a number of diaspora which you could take advantage of based on where you're located from. In this, we're looking to leverage this workforce and double down on our investments through $90 billion in additional education expenses in our proposed budget, as well as $353 million in direct investment for job training and apprenticeship programs. These sectors can range from construction to cybersecurity, and I'm sure food and ag tech would be something that we'd be focused on in particular. We also have key concentrations of talent around the world, or I'm sorry, around the state, whether it be clusters in aerospace, agriculture, ag tech, biotech, clean tech, et cetera. So we're looking to leverage these types of opportunities to grow in a number of different industries, but this, and food tech in particular, is one of particular note for us, and one that we want to especially take advantage of, considering some of the challenges that we know exist as it relates to water and distribution of some of those goods. So obviously, technological advances in food, while mostly in a newer state, we're really looking to leverage that in the future. As a global leader for cutting-edge innovation, higher education, climate science, and trade and logistics, our international team stands to serve with our global partners in order to promote our exports and to attract additional investment. With that, I'll go into some of the programs which are available through our office and which we help facilitate. And I'll do it very quickly. Obviously, we'd be happy to connect in future environments and provide our email addresses to all of the individuals who attend this event. Our highlighted program is called the Cal Compete Tax Credit. And this is a program which allows for reduction of the California portion of your income taxes if you choose to locate in California. And this is one that has a competitive balance. So if you're looking at multiple locations or multiple states, this is definitely one that we encourage you to take advantage of. There are other credits related to training and workforce development, as well as the purchase of equipment, whether it be for manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, or otherwise. And so the key thing I would like to say in closing is that, the good thing is our connection with GlobalSF is strong. Our ability to serve clients and customers around the world is very well established and unmatched, in my opinion, across the states. And we very much so look forward to working with you guys and partnering on future possibilities as you explore the options in this amazing and innovative space. And with that, I'll go ahead and turn it back over to Darlene, and thank you very much for allowing me to be a part of this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kaina. And GoBiz has really been an extremely good partner of us. And of course, they support all the work that we're doing here in San Francisco as we work together. And next, I am so pleased to welcome my colleague, Mark Chandler, from the City and County of San Francisco. He's the Director of International Affairs. Mark.
Good morning, and welcome to our global audience this morning, wherever you may be. Thank you so much for joining this, what I think is very innovative and will be interesting forum on the future of food. First, I'd like to say on behalf of our mayor, London Breed, and all of us here at the City and County of San Francisco, that we thank the sponsors, especially Darlene and GlobalSF, but also Bill at Select USA and Kaina up at GoBiz, our partners in Sacramento, for presenting it today. Our GlobalSF team, our partners for international investment and international trade here in the city of San Francisco, I think have done a yeoman's job in putting together this forum and also in continuing to carry out multiple programs of assistance to our business community during this last year, which we all know has been a very, very difficult year. I'm going to be very brief this morning because I know I'm the last obstacle that is between you, the audience, and our list of speakers, John and Sarah and George, who I think will be fascinating. So I'll just be very, very brief. But I also want to salute GlobalSF and our partners for putting together a forum on this subject, the future of food. Frankly, often here in San Francisco, we get talking about high tech or biotech or some of these other areas. And we forget that the state of California, the Bay Area, and Northern California are leaders in food and all the aspects of that around innovation, around technology, around supply chains, and we forget that. I personally am a graduate of the University of California, Davis, which is probably one of the preeminent food technology innovation hubs in the world. And all of us who were students there, you always took classes and learned about the food supply and how California plays a key role. So we're very, very honored to have these speakers today. We're very pleased that GlobalSF has put this together. I would highly encourage all of you out there that if you have an interest, that you do go ahead. You set up a meeting for later this month with GlobalSF and the Select USA people, and that you continue to follow the great programs that Darlene and Laura and her team put together here in San Francisco on behalf of the City and County of San Francisco and on behalf of all of you. So again, greetings from the City of San Francisco, and let's move on to our incredible panel and speakers. Thank you very much and have a great day.
Thank you so much, Mark, for joining us today and for your words of welcome today. And next, I am happy to introduce my colleague, Laura Wright-Jenkins. She is the Director of Partnerships for GlobalSF, and she will be leading the program, the meat and potatoes, for today's event. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. Laura, you have the stage.
Thank you, Darlene. As Darlene mentioned, I'm Laura Jenkins. I'm the Director of Partnerships for GlobalSF, and I'd like to jump right in and start off by introducing our panelists, starting with John Sullup, who will be making introductory remarks, Sarah Ahmed Holman from Innovation Endeavors, and George Panagio Takopoulos from Berkeley Skydeck. John Sullup is a former tech executive, active angel investor, and longstanding contributor to the startup community in Northern California. For the past 8 years, John has been a volunteer, mentor, and sponsor of our region's AgStart program, one of Northern California's longest established incubators for food and ag technology startups, where John currently serves as president and board chair. In 2021, this year, AgStart is launching a wet lab incubator and food lab focused on the needs of startup entrepreneurs innovating in ag, food, and health technologies. So working in close coordination with the University of California system, John has built relationships with ag and food innovators and their supporters across the state and globally, strengthening California's startup ecosystem for ag and food tech, which we'll hear about shortly. We're also very excited to have Sarah Ahmed Holman, who is the VP of Growth and Partnership and leads Innovation Endeavors Food and Agriculture and Life Science Ecosystems, Farm 2050 and Deep Life. Previously, she was Associate General Counsel at Lookout and Corporate Counsel for Weebly, which was acquired by Square. After attending UCLA's School of Law, she represented some of the world's largest financial institutions at Bryan Cave and co-founded the firm's food and beverage team. Sarah has served as a legal expert on food labeling issues for the media, litigated and authored briefs and food cases for the Ninth Circuit. She has counseled all size food and agricultural companies, an amazing person to connect with here. She was also awarded the Caro Fellowship in Public Affairs, where she focused on creating joint ventures between the private and public sectors, including projects with the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, as well as the City of New York. And she serves on the board of directors for the firm's investment in CropX, as well as the nonprofit and accelerator Food System 6, where coincidentally I am also an advisor. We are thrilled to have George Panagio Takopoulos, Director of Global Innovation and Partnerships at the University of California at Berkeley Skydeck as well. And GlobalSF had just initiated a partnership with Berkeley Skydeck, so we're really thrilled to have George with us. He has a diverse professional background that includes entrepreneurship, venture capital, business innovation, and digital transformation in both the private sector and academia. Additionally, George serves as a startup mentor for projects in AI, IoT, energy, edtech, and aerospace applications, areas where Berkeley Skydeck has a focus. He is also co-authoring a book on business strategies and innovation design. George holds an MBA from UC Berkeley's Haas School of Business, as well as a BA in Business Studies from London South Bank University. So thank you so much to our panelists for being here to share insights on food innovation opportunities in the Bay Area and California. So without further ado, I leave it to you, John. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. I really appreciate that introduction. Let me just quickly share with the audience a couple of infographics. I wanted to just speak with you briefly about Northern California as a food and ag tech center, as an innovation hub. Our global food system is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. It touches every one of the 7.5 billion people on the planet every day. There's a lot of pressures driving innovation in that food system. Within agriculture, the needs to sustainably feed a growing population amidst a changing climate with limited land, water, and other resources is a constant pressure. In the food system, shifting consumer preferences are driving food packagers to look at changing their product formulations for clean labeling and more sustainable, as customers seek out foods that offer better nutrition for their families. And then in the human health sphere, we see the increasing prevalence of obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease, and tie them back to their source. These are dietary diseases that are driving the need for improved nutrition. Our understanding of new science, including the human gut biome, is leading to solutions where food is medicine. This is driving a tremendous amount of innovation across all three of these major industries and across the board, from pharmaceutical companies to consumer packaged foods companies to the global seed, crop protection, and agricultural equipment companies. These companies are increasingly outsourcing their ideas, their R&D, looking for innovative startups to pioneer new solutions, create new product categories, prove out market demand, and then acquire the market leaders in those segments to add to their product portfolios. In response, we're seeing an explosion of venture capital investment in those startup companies, and this creates a virtuous cycle where more investment drives more startup companies and a greater interest in this whole food, ag, and human health space. For those in the audience, when you're selecting a landing spot for your company, you want to be considering the innovation ecosystem that you want to align with. To use an agricultural analogy, you want to make sure that you have fertile ground for your new enterprise to thrive and grow. We model the key elements of a thriving innovation ecosystem in 5 elements. Talent and ideas are the first 2. Without talent and ideas, you don't have innovation. These are the seeds. But the fertile ground that those seeds need to thrive include partnerships. Partnerships with customers, suppliers, industry partners, and distributors. Partnerships to do your customer discovery, to understand what the problems are and how you can solve them. Channel partners to provide you access to new customers and new markets. Of course, even with deep connectivity to partners, startups need resources to thrive and grow. Those resources include facilities, incubators, wet labs, other capabilities, and of course, capital to drive their business. But none of this matters if the talented entrepreneurs can't find and connect with the partners they need or the investors they need. So connectivity is a key element, building a strong community where different players in the ecosystem can interact with each other and find those serendipitous connections that, oh, I know somebody who can help you solve that problem, and connect you immediately to someone who can help you. Let me just run through quickly those elements as they relate to the San Francisco Bay Area. As Kaina mentioned earlier, our area, our region, is blessed with 2 of the top 6 leading universities in agriculture, forestry, and food science research. We're also complemented by UCSF, which has a keen focus on human health, and Stanford University, which has a broad research reputation around the world in many, many areas of engineering and science. But UC Davis and UC Berkeley really anchor the ag and food innovation ecosystem in the region. Around these universities, we have pools of talented individuals who are either students, faculty members, or alumni that can feed your business. Even if you come with talent and ideas of your own, as you grow and scale, you'll need additional talent, and we have quite a pool in this region. As far as partnerships, California is one of the strongest agricultural regions in the world. It's a powerhouse. Within the US, the California $50 billion agricultural output at farm gate value, that's not even including food processing, is nearly twice that of any other state. 2/3 of all the fruit, vegetables, and nuts consumed in the US are produced here in California. And our mild Mediterranean climate allows over 400 different crop types to be grown here, many of which have production only in California. And many of these are billion-dollar-plus industries in their own right, which means they have their own ecosystems of growers, processors, equipment suppliers, and others for each of these different commodities, which provide a fertile ground, a rich coral reef ecosystem with lots of little niches for startup companies to grow and thrive without having to contend with major global players or strong competition. We believe that California has the technology, scale, crop diversity, and crop productivity to lead the world in food and ag innovation. Of course, with those partnerships and with the opportunity, with lots of talent, you need resources. Many of the innovations in food science, agricultural science, are deeply based on science, and scientific researchers need access to laboratory and food lab resources to pioneer their innovations. Fortunately, our region is well supplied. Of course, there are scarcity, but we have many resources that are rapidly filling for both wet lab laboratory science and a growing population of food lab resources in the region for food innovators and new food ingredients. As was mentioned earlier, the interest in plant-based proteins and alternative cell culture protein alternatives is really driving a strong interest and a thriving both research topic at universities like UC Davis, but also among the startup community in the region. And of course, no business can thrive without access to capital. At one point in time, over half the venture capital in the United States was centered in Silicon Valley. Fortunately, that has democratized over time, but within the food and ag sector, we still see that California far outweighs any other state in the country or the world as far as its concentration of ag and food investment. Of course, all those resources and investors don't create a thriving community without the connectivity, without that interaction between startup innovators, investors, those who have access to resources, the mentor advisor communities that can help these startups. Fortunately, in our region, we have many different accelerators, incubators, and others that provide guidance and mentorship to startup companies to help them grow and prosper. Our Ag Start organization has been instrumental in the Vine, a virtual network of incubators and resources across the state, including University of California farm advisors in the fields and in different counties around the state, the research and experiment stations that the University of California has throughout the state, so that we can easily connect innovators to the resources and connections and advice that they need to grow and prosper. We think that this Bay Area region has the resources that you need to be successful as an ag and food innovator in our region. Here's just a quick note about what we do, but there are many other resources across the state that can support you in your ag and food journey. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Laura to move on with our next panel.
Thank you so much, John, and the data you shared is powerful. This is definitely a momentous year for food and ag innovation, and it's obvious that our local and global food systems require a complete transformation. And in Northern California, in the Bay Area, we're seeing private sector, government, and consumers align to advance a more sustainable food future. So for food and ag tech entrepreneurs and investors, companies, and policymakers, it's really a phenomenal opportunity, and we're seeing the San Francisco Bay Area and truly California as the best place to start and grow global companies, especially those producing solutions within food and ag. And this is really a question for all of the panelists. We've seen how powerful it can be to align, and the investors, founders, customers, and California, and especially the Bay Area, is an ideal place for this to continuously grow. So what are you seeing in terms of funding, and what should companies think about when they're planning for global growth? So maybe
we've seen I've been active in this ag and food innovation space for 8 years, and in that period of time, we've seen a significant growth in dedicated investment firms or different investment funds focused on the ag and food space. That was not the case in 2012, for example. But we're seeing that more and more where there are specific focused investors who really understand the space, who've written checks before for companies in the, for example, ag tech or food tech space. We also see larger funds that have not invested in those categories historically, but are spending more and more time and prospecting there, which is good. We also see the dedicated food and ag investors can act as the lead investor and then bring in a cohort of other investors who may not have the confidence or the ability to really determine which investments are worthy in that space. And so they really follow the lead of the specialized investors who've understood and done the research in that space. There's definitely a lot more capital available for food and ag innovation today than there were in 3, 4, 7 years ago.
Sarah?
Right. I'd like to maybe jump in here as well. Relative to what companies should think about as they plan for global growth, I believe that the global or globalization model is important when planning for global growth. The practice of conducting business according to both local and global considerations, such as harnessing global resources and economies of scale and synergies between regions, while at the same time listening to the unique nuances and characteristics of your local market to better serve your local audience. Moreover, I would consider that new business and operational models, such as how tech is facilitating the radical transformation of supply chains, shortening them, allowing for mass customization and quicker delivery. And while normally when we think of efficiency, we think of massive industrial supply chains, we are seeing a corollary movement towards new supply chain models and technology that is more bespoke and boutique in nature. And while they may seem to be in conflict, they're actually working in conjunction and offering new opportunities, such as making it easier for small businesses and farmers and niche providers to survive and thrive.
Sarah,
We're also seeing, just to add to what George was saying, we're seeing a tremendous benefit from the diversity of both entrepreneurial insight and instincts around the world, and the genetic diversity of crop types all around the planet. Not every crop that is valuable currently grows in the United States or in any particular country. And we're seeing some amazing developments in terms of, one example is a red fruit that grows in, a red melon that grows in Vietnam that happens to have that unique genetic attribute that it has a very, very high concentration of carotene and other carotenoid nutrients that are industrially very important commercially around the world in terms of poultry nutrients and nutrients for human consumption. And if it were not for this discovery that this particular red melon in Vietnam has this high concentration and the technology to extract that, not every advance or innovation comes from the Silicon Valley, but this is where we can help to commercialize and bring those capabilities to market, accentuate the geographic diversity and the genetic diversity around the world, but help to commercialize it, bring it to market, and then return those benefits around the planet for all those growers and producers and humans who can benefit from these nutrients.
Okay, I want to jump over to George to tell us a little bit about the Global Innovation Program at Skydeck and how can companies use this program to expand to the Bay Area and plug in to this ecosystem and the resources we've been talking about?
Of course. Well, Berkeley Skydeck's GIP program is the university's way of bridging Silicon Valley and the university's resources to the rest of the world. It offers a turnkey solution for both startups, the startups that we work with from all over the world, and the organizations that we partner with to plug into the Silicon Valley ecosystem to find funding opportunities, develop corporate partnerships, and really scale from 0 to 1 in the most efficient and effective way possible. It's a landing pad in Silicon Valley that you use to launch your innovation globally. Perhaps the best example of our resolve to provide this turnkey operation to our partners is the fact that we make all our affiliates, all our collaborators, affiliates of the University of California, Berkeley, to ensure that they have lifelong access and opportunities to accelerate their startups, sponsor research opportunities on campus, access intellectual property from our Intellectual Property and Industry Research Alliance office, and really leverage departments and resources from the UC Berkeley ecosystem that will help ensure their success. So I would say that the most important takeaways is that we're not just an accelerator, we're a university, and we're a nonprofit with the ultimate goal of providing the best value we can to our collaborators to provide benefits to society as a whole and hopefully make the world a better place in the process.
Thank you. And we've talked about this a little bit already, but I wanted to ask each of you, Sarah, John, and George, about the global aspect again. So the food production, consumption, and innovation is truly global. So how can companies and investors think about practically, think about solving for local and global challenges at once? And what is the advantage of building solutions in the food ag tech hub like the Bay Area, but really Northern California, this whole region?
I can speak to that in part, Laura. Every technology goes through a maturity process. its initial application, that one killer app where it has the highest value, might be the initial pilot that a startup entrepreneur, focuses on. And then as that application becomes more mature, costs, prices, delivery costs go down, and that technology can then percolate out to broader applications, perhaps around the planet. The unique thing about the California ecosystem, our high-value specialty crop environment, where we grow tree nuts or strawberries or other berries and fruit, these are very high-value products on a per-acre basis. Compare that to areas of the Midwest in the United States or elsewhere around the world, where farmers may be growing oil seeds like soybeans or commodity grains like wheat or corn. In the Midwest, a high production corn field might produce 200 bushels of corn per acre at a value of $3.50 a bushel. That's about $700 per acre per year. A tree nut crop in California produces $7,000 per year in revenue for that grower. A strawberry field in Watsonville or Salinas can produce $45,000 per year in revenue. So if you're talking about an agricultural input that can increase yield by 5%, 5% of $45,000 per year is a tremendous amount of money. 5% of a $700 per acre cornfield is about $35. That doesn't buy you much in terms of satellite-based telemetry for moisture sensing in the field, et cetera. So some of these new advances that really are on the leading edge and may have high costs are still very valuable for growers here in California because of our high-value specialty crop environment. And then once the product or the solution or the service has been refined in our high-value specialty crop environment here in California, its costs can come down in the delivery prices, the volumes allow component cost reductions, and then they become much more competitive at some of the other agricultural environments around the world. But again, our California environment is a unique incubator because of the high-value specialty crop environment that we have, where pioneers can try new things that frankly wouldn't be cost competitive in other environments. And then as they mature, take them elsewhere, take them global.
I'd like to add to that. The advantage of any kind of tech hub is exposure to technology, people, and financing. But if these were just off-the-shelf ingredients, then anywhere in the world would do. But when you're talking about startups, when you're talking about innovation and the pursuit of truly novel and impactful solutions that aren't fully formed yet, none of these things can be helped with, can be supported with off-the-shelf solutions. They're all bespoke. It requires bespoke relationship building, bespoke interactions, bespoke programming, bespoke attention to the solution that you're developing to solve big challenges. And this is something that the Bay Area has always excelled at. And that's why it will always be at the center of innovation and the forefront of the food and ag tech revolution. No other city can cater to such large ambitions that break the classic mold of how we have historically operated. For example, the automotive revolution, I dare call it a revolution, started in California with Tesla, not Detroit. Fintech is not happening on Wall Street. That's where legacy banking is done, not where innovation in fintech is done. That's done in the Bay Area. And the Bay Area is where we make change happen. And it's where the center of the food and ag tech revolution, in my opinion, will be. I was just going to say, I fully agree, and I'd like to maybe support Sarah with an example that can actually help farmers is that, track and trace, which includes distributed ledger technology, will allow you to identify the point of origin of every single ingredient on your menu. Being able to validate if something is fair trade, if it's sustainably harvested or locally produced. Right now, information on product origin is not what it seems to be. Carbon footprint information, for example, is not transparent. It might seem outlandish, but even large corporations such as SAP and Oracle and all the top enterprise software companies are investing heavily in this type of technology because they can develop solutions to some of our most pressing challenges, such as track and trace. That lends itself well to farmers and the adoption of technology, because now it's not the farmers that need to reach out to the consumers and try to find their market. Now it's the consumers trying to ensure that what they consume, what they put into their bodies, and how they go about their decisions are in line with, inevitably, because it's in their interest, and that's how we're pursuing this new trend. They're going to be looking for those farmers. So that's an example of technology that I think will help change that historical relationship. We're going to be going to them more and more.
I also wanted to echo what Sarah had said about we're seeing this blending across industries. And I alluded to that in my comments earlier, that we see agriculture, food, and human health as elements of a single value chain. The ultimate goal, the job to be done, is human health. But in the past, these were disconnected markets. Farmers would plant seeds for what they felt their local grain elevator was purchasing. And that was as far as their thought process went. But now that we're seeing this as a continuum, we're seeing innovative startup companies that are breeding different varieties of seeds, different varieties of grain products that have higher amounts of soluble fiber, because they know that ultimately when humans eat products, baked products made with those grains, that will feed the human gut microbiome, that will increase the amount of anti-inflammatory and other essential elements that the human gut microbiome is producing when it digests your food. Yet, when they take those seeds to a grain farmer, the farmer is going to say, "Well, my local grain elevator hasn't asked me for that particular, low volume but high soluble fiber grain." So what we're seeing is really innovative solutions, innovative value chains being assembled, where an entity can provide the financial assurance to growers that they will get fair prices for their specialty crop, can guarantee markets for them to grow that specialty grain, and then see that that grain is handled in an identity preserved way through the transportation process to a custom grain miller who can produce a specialty flour that a baker may use in a particular baked good or muffin or whatever that has health benefits. And only when you connect all those elements of the value chain, traditionally these commodities go through 7 or 8 different hands before, from the farmer to the actual end consumer. And unless you connect those, you really cannot bring these innovations to market. But we're seeing really innovative solutions leveraging financial products or insurance to guarantee to farmers that they will find a market for their product and they'll get a premium price for it if they put in the effort to grow these specialty grains, then to really communicate those benefits through to the human consumer. Really innovative models. I think we'll see more of that coming in the future. And it's exciting to see people connecting the dots all the way through the value chain and not just, one individual component at a time.
Building on that comment around connecting the dots, I'm still thinking a little bit about Sarah's comment, because it was complex in that there are so many different innovations flourishing around the world. But Sarah, you were talking a lot about scale and what it means to scale in a place like the Bay Area. And so I'm curious to ask everyone on the panel, since we're here and we have this vantage on what's happening in the future and what we're expecting to see in the next year or so, which is unique.
Yeah, and to to add to that, I just wanted to mention, about technologies we're excited about and their impact on the food and ag tech industry. The whole notion of just sensors and being able to sense what's happening from the raw material stage to finished production makes it possible to develop precision agriculture and automation. Whether whether you measure your level of mold in a grain silo, or the nutrition level in soil, or what have you, the sensor technology is revolutionizing food. It's offering us the ability to customize down to the square inch what you're doing in terms of agriculture, and therefore affording opportunities for more sustainable food supply chains. Yeah.
To add to what George and Sarah have mentioned, I see that the pace of scientific development continues to accelerate, and developments and discoveries in one area lead to discoveries in others. If you think about the advances in genomics that have happened over the last 5 years, we can now pick up a handful of soil and do a complete genetic profile of that handful of soil, all the different microbiota that populate that, from funguses and bacteria to epiphytes and other nematodes and other larger, higher level organisms within that soil. We can do the same with the human gut. So advances in genomics that were originally pioneered for looking at, for example, the human genome, are now looking at the human gut biome. And that advance has led to tremendous discoveries about the role of the gut biome in terms of how you translate the food you put into your body and how that actually nourishes your body. When I was young in high school, they said, well, you take in nutrients, your body absorbs them, and the job is done. We're discovering that you have billions of friends that are essential in helping you digest your morning breakfast. And now we can take those discoveries in the human gut biome and talk about food as medicine and prescribe specific foods, whether it's to infants in a neonatal ICU and helping them keep their bodies healthy as they go through their late stages of development, or aging humans, or even our animal pets. I've seen gut microbiome products focused on dogs and cats to prevent diarrhea or accommodate those kinds of diseases. And it's just fascinating. In the last 5 years, without the genomic tools at our disposal, we could never have even understood the role these ecosystems play in terms of health, both animal and human health. And now we're understanding the role that foods play. And there's a number of startups spinning out of local universities looking at the role that specific food substances like oligosaccharides and carbohydrates and proteins play, its interaction with the human gut microbiome, and how we can start to prescribe foods that have a direct impact on human health in ways that we wouldn't. It's more than just nutrition. It's anti-inflammatories and other kinds of things. Inflammation is the root of cancer. And so how can we use food as a way of preventing cancer and other kinds of things? Again, 5 years ago, we would never have anticipated how this cascade of discoveries could lead to this. And I can't even anticipate what the next 5 years will bring, because that pace of discovery is advancing. And what that means for startups in the audience is there's a continually unfolding wealth of opportunities for startups and innovation in this space.
Fantastic comment to end on, John. Thank you for that. We have about 3 minutes left, and we're getting some questions from the audience about resources at the state and local level for companies coming here. And I want to let you know that we are having 1 day reserved for one-on-one meetings with our team, so we can talk about that as that relates to your specific company and the specific opportunities and resources for you. And I do want to open it up just for the last 2 minutes to the panel if there are any final comments that you would like to share. Okay.
Well, I made my closing comment, Laura. I can't really top that, so I'll have to defer.
Well, thank you again for your time. We want to thank the speakers and panelists today, as well as our partners, Select USA, the State of California Governor's Office of Business, State of California, and the City of San Francisco. So thank you, everyone. Really interesting thoughts and ideas to have us thinking optimistically and innovatively in the year ahead. So really appreciate your time. Thank you.